Welcome everybody back to Boost in Motion, guys, and I'm getting a lot of questions about intercoolers. So I'm making this video about intercoolers because everybody says they want to upgrade the intercoolers on their Q50, Q60, redsport, premium, and luxes and silver sports. So before I get into the video, if you watch this channel, if you've been watching a few videos, just hit the subscribe button with the bell notifications. If you like this video or you want to check out some other videos, then you can subscribe later. But I do appreciate y'all. Otherwise, now let's jump right into the video. A lot of people have been sending me DMs saying, hey, Boost, I want to get an aftermarket intercooler for my Redsport Premium Luxus Q50 Q60. And I'm like, guys, what are you talking about? They're saying, yeah, they make all these heat exchangers. Now, this video is going to be talking about why an intercooler and heat exchanger are the same thing, guys. They're the same thing. Now, I'm not going to talk about the different ones on the market because you can check the cards up here. I talked about the different heat exchangers on the market. I'm not going to talk about the performance of the stock heat exchanger on our cars. I'll put the card somewhere up there too. This video is going to be talking about what is an intercooler and why is an intercooler and heat exchanger the same thing. So briefly, let's just get into it. Number one, guys. Intercooler is a heat exchanger. A job of intercooler, which is under the same umbrella as a heat exchanger, is it does exactly what it says. It exchanges heats from a either gas or air or from a liquid, and it removes the heat from it. So when you talk about engines, in our case, automotive engines, our twin turbo cars, our turbos compress air. When the compressed air gets when air compresses, it gets to a higher turbulence or higher pressure, which means it creates more heat. That heat is no good for our engines because they'll knock, it'll have detonation, things will go boom. You don't want that. So we have air-to-water heat exchangers, or what you can call air-to-water intercoolers, in which that charged air goes through the air-to-water intercoolers to bring down the excessive heat from this charged air temps, which is better for the engine. Now, on the market, they call these aftermarket heat exchangers, the ones that they sell for our cars, with the coolant that runs through it. They call them heat exchangers because that is necessary to their job. What they really should call it is a radiator or a small radiator, or you would call it in this case the radiator of heat exchange, intercooler radiators. But they're not going to call it that because it doesn't make sense because both of the jobs are necessarily the same. So that's why they call them heat exchangers. The heat exchangers on our car are just, and that sits in the front of the car, are pretty much small radiators for our air-to-water intercoolers, guys. All right? So once that coolant gets hot, it's going to keep getting hot, sit on top of the engine. So you need a radiator with a pump to push the fluid to the front to cool it off, and it comes back around, and this cycle starts over again. All right, guys? So understand, yes, an intercooler is a heat exchanger necessarily. But when we're talking about it in the case of our cars, we have air-to-water intercoolers, the two silver boxes that sit on top of the motor. The radiator is the one that sits, the heat exchangers are the small radiators that sit in front of the car that cools the coolant for the air-to-water mixture. Now, there are other intercoolers on the market, air-to-air, and you have other ones other heat exchange, other intercoolers which just use coolant. And that coolant needs to be cooled off, but they don't really do that in our cars because we're not using coolant as air as performance or whatever the case might be. But all in all, guys, just wanted to make this short video talking about intercoolers and necessarily what they are, and understand that yes, an intercooler is a heat exchanger. It lowers the amount of temperature of either gas or liquid. Okay, guys? Appreciate y'all. If you like this small short video, please hit the like button. If you dislike it, I understand. If you want to comment below your experience, some of you guys have boosted cars before the fact. This is necessary. My first boosted car. I've been around boosted cars and I've learned a lot from them. But this is my first boosted car I have that I've owned myself. So I know a lot of you guys are coming from the 3.6, 3.7, or even maybe 3.8 Hyundai over here to the twin turbo. So you guys might want to just know more about the jargon and everything. So stop confusing yourself what an intercooler is versus heat exchanger. When we say heat exchanger, make sure that it's not a post turbo, because if it's post turbo, it's necessarily just an air-to-water intercooler or an air-to-air intercooler. If it's just a small radiator where air doesn't go through it, that goes through the engine, whatever. If it's not between the turbo and the throttle bodies of the car, it's necessary. It's just a radiator. That's it. Okay, guys? Otherwise than that, hit the like button, subscribe, the bell notification, dislike, comment. I appreciate y'all. You have an amazing, beautiful day. I'm going to keep bringing up more topics. I have a lot of people who've been asking me a lot of questions. So I'm trying to make one video a day. All right, guys? I just been kind of slacking the last few days. But appreciate y'all. Thank you.